to actually, that what causes it?
Do you want this or? I'll add something to that. Yeah. And so the question was, with alpha-gal, what do we know about it? Is it a pathogen? Is it not a pathogen? It's found in ticks, in several species now. And so I just spent the last 2 years living out east, and I met some allergists at UVA, University of Virginia, that are interested in alpha-gal. And so they contacted me because they're also thinking about chiggers. Is that a possibility as well? But talking with them, so the thing with alpha-gal is what I understand is there's an oligosaccharide that's produced that's what we become allergic to. And this oligosaccharide is actually produced by lots of mammals, lots of organisms, lots of arthropods, and but through sort of human evolution, we've stopped producing this, whereas other mammals still do. And so, if we tested ticks for the oligosaccharide, they'd probably show up in all of them. Would be my guess, because it's there. It's just a thing that's being produced. It also turns out that a lot of bacteria produce this. And correct me, this is what they were telling me there too, that sort of bacteria, and so there may be a connection with some of the bacteria like rickettsia, and that an infection with rickettsia can increase your likelihood of developing this allergy. And so they're seeing that out there in some areas where spotted fevers are really prevalent. That's where they're seeing their highest prevalences of alpha-gal allergies developing as well. And so we have a lot of spotted fever here, so there could be some connection, but it's really a big mystery. I mean, people really aren't sure, I think, how to, because it's not a pathogen, it's not, it's an allergy, like Jon said, and so it's a totally different approach to trying to figure out this.
Well, it's just new news that it's actually carried in the saliva for the larva at the stage of larva. So that was.
Yeah, I mean, my guess would be
that's been confirmed now.
Yeah, I mean, I would have expected that. I guess is what I'm saying, because it's just something that they're producing. But yeah, it's a weird one. I mean.
Yeah, that's my understanding. It would be like being allergic to a bee sting. There's nothing in the bee sting other than the actual protein that makes you react so severely. And I think the reason why it's such a major issue in Arkansas, we've already heard that the Lone Star tick is the primary tick that you see on people. It's all of the immune mediated phenomena you see, whether it's gluten allergies or an alpha-gal allergy. There's usually something about the person and their kind of genetic makeup that might predispose them for that kind of exposure. Peanut allergy, why are only certain people allergic to peanuts? I think it's kind of the same thing. Here, though, we have so many more people out in the woods getting bit by amblyopia ticks that it's becoming more common because of the sheer prevalence of that interaction.
And I've talked to a bunch of allergists around here, or up in Fayetteville area, and a lot of the people that come in, they'll have this severe allergy, and then it tapers off after a little bit of time. And so some people, they'll have it for a month or two, and then it's gone, and other people seem to just persist. And so one question among allergists, if it is being induced by the tick bite, the people that were seeing persistent allergies, is it that they're just getting bit frequently and sort of inoculated over time? I mean, it's really hard. If you're an outdoors person in Arkansas, it's hard to go out and not get ticks on you. And so it's really difficult, and especially if the seed ticks, can induce the allergy. And a lot of those, you're not going to notice those are on you if you get them in certain places. So it could just be that you're just getting sort of hit over and over and over again too.
And just another note from the immunology perspective of that. So he mentioned the offending piece is the oligosaccharide. That's a sugar. Most allergies that you hear about are against proteins. So the allergy against the sugar is another kind of unique piece. Yes.
When you're talking about the bacteria and the ticks that cause the disease, what does that bacteria do to the tick itself? Is there any benefit to the tick to have this bacteria, or is it a parasite already in the bacteria? Is it symbiotic, or does it have a benefit to it?
I mean,
Repeat the question.
So the question was, does the presence of the pathogen, the bacteria in the tick, provide some benefit, or does it have a negative aspect to that vector's life? Honestly, I don't really know. But it is my understanding that these situations where you have a tick that is known to be a vector for a specific pathogen, that's a long-term kind of engagement. In the situation of rickettsia, which cause Rocky Mountain spotted fever, they will actually be transmitted from an infected female through the egg into the larvae. So that's what you call transovarial maintenance. So once it's with that bacteria, or once that bacteria is with that tick, it stays there for its life. So, and there's, in a lot of situations, the bacteria figured out how to persist in that kind of environment, and evade the insults that the bacteria is going to provide in the gut, whether it's got its immune system and whatnot. So I would say by and large, they're pretty happy together.
Has there been a huge explosion in the tick population, or have ticks always been the vectors for all of these diseases, or have people become more susceptible to the bacteria? I'm trying to get kind of a big picture of what's going on. We didn't hear all about ticks decades ago. Now we do.
Right. So the question is, has the population exploded? Are there more diseases, or is it just our detection ability and our scientific assessment of prevalence and things like that? What do we owe this awareness and largeness to?
It's the deer's fault. So that's it. The deer expanding, the deer populations are booming. I think of Michigan, in my graduate work up there, and there was sort of at the turn of the century, around 1900, there were no white-tailed deer in the state of Michigan. They weren't there. They'd been eradicated essentially. There were enough big predators, enough things going on, and then the predators disappeared because we got rid of them for various reasons. And so when I was there, basically 100 years later, there are 250,000 deer hunted each deer season up there, and there's still deer littered all over the roads. And Michigan was never a state where you had to worry about Lyme disease or many other tick-borne diseases. But if you watch the historical maps of, say, like Lyme and other things, Michigan was this empty spot, but now it's crept up through the Upper Peninsula and it's working its way down. And so, I mean, it's the deer that are doing it. The deer are the ones allowing these populations to boom, and but people don't want to get rid of deer because they're cute. But if you let us get rid of the deer, we'd get rid of a lot of our problems. And Kelly's been working on ticks in the area a lot more, and I'm sure he's seen the populations boom.
I think a lot of it also comes from the expansion from rural or from urban areas out into the rural parts of especially from Little Rock out into the Saline County areas. Some of the biggest numbers that I've received, tick-wise, have been from Saline County. So I think it's us even encroaching on areas where you might normally not interact with ticks that much. Unless you're out hunting and doing stuff.
So y'all repeat the question.
How large can a tick get? Are you talking about our ticks here or just in the world? Because the engorged female, when she takes on the full blood male, I've seen gopher tortoise ticks in Texas that are the size of ping pong balls. So big that when she falls off, her legs can't touch the ground, and she just lays there, rolls around, and slowly digests her meal. And so you go look at things in Africa, they can get even bigger when they slowly expand. So they can get huge, and I don't know, dog ticks are what I think of as the really big ones I see most commonly up here, and they look like a a big wad of chewing gum to me. So, but
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
How soon do you need to get the tick out in order to be relatively safe? And does it matter with the kind of tick?
How long does it take for a tick, or how long does it require for a tick to be attached that has a pathogen to transmit the pathogen? And I'll let these guys help, but generally, rule of thumb, we'd like to remove them at least within 24 hours. Now, I will back up a little bit. You know, there's extremes on both sides. You know, I've seen reports where it could be as little as 4 hours for some pathogens that are bacterial. And then on the other extreme, 72 hours. But the one that probably you need to be kind of thinking about in terms of being on a short period of time would be the viral pathogens. It doesn't take near as long to transmit. So.
And which kind of ticks are the viral pathogens?
All of them.
Yes.
So that follow-up was what kind of ticks do you see viral pathogens in? The answer is they can be in all of them. That's kind of the thing that people assume that a tick is just a syringe for a pathogen. There's a very intimate relationship with certain ticks and certain pathogens. So kind of related to that, you know, for the Lyme disease Borrelia, usually within 24 hours, if you remove that tick, the bacteria have maintained, they stayed in the gut, and they have it transmitted to the salivary gland, but they then get spit in the body. So within 24 hours, you probably don't need antibiotics. In a lot of cases, you know, if you go to the doctor and say, oh, that's 24 hours, we're just going to kind of keep an eye on it and see what happens. The relapsing fever spirochetes, so relapsing fever Borrelia are transmitted by a totally different tick. So they're the ticks that come out and feed on you at night and then recede back and you don't even know you've been bit. Those ticks can actually transmit the spirochetes within 15 seconds. So these bacteria are sitting in the salivary glands waiting to be secreted and spit into the host because they know that they're in a vector, they're in a tick that's only going to feed for a very short period of time, so they've got to be staged and ready to go. So.
Yes, ma'am, in the black. Yes.
Why has there been such a resistance in the medical community to accept Lyme disease exists in Arkansas? My child was diagnosed years ago, and because of her first symptoms, I was taking her to a neurologist, cardiologist, rheumatologist, gastroenterologist, because it was affecting all of her body and all the systems. And every one of them said, that's not real. That doesn't exist in Arkansas. Has that changed?
So the question was about kind of a long-standing issue with the medical community, particularly with regard to Arkansas and Lyme disease. You know, for a long time they said, no, you can't get Lyme disease in Arkansas. Is that still the case? And what is the hesitation of the medical community to take on all of the different facets of the disease, whether we're talking about Arkansas or not?
All right, so there has been the general idea that Arkansas is not a state where Lyme disease is endemic, and that has kind of pervased into, okay, if Lyme disease is not endemic, we don't need to treat for it. The problem is, we don't have to screen for it and treat people for it. If you're not checking patients if they have it, you're never going to find it. The health department here in May 2017 really kind of softened that stance. I don't know if that has gotten out into the medical community, but they flat out said that there's a potential. You know, Arkansans are getting sick. There's potential for something out there, whether it's Lyme disease, whether it's not. We need to be aware of it. We need to test for it. The caveat is the testing, in order for the CDC to accept it, has to hit those 2-tier requirements. And until they have those tests from the doctor, they can't, it can't be officially recognized, unfortunately. The ELISA for the initial tier, the ELISA test, to test for just kind of IgM antibodies, and then the Western blot test. And even the Western blot test, depending on the stage in which you're infected, you may need to get a follow-up to actually convince. I know it sounds tough, but it doesn't sound right. You shouldn't have to convince the doctor that you're sick. But in order for the CDC to say you have Lyme disease, you got to hit these 2 benchmarks. And I think that was one of the things that the health department was trying to stress. It's like we got to have full testing in order for this to actually get acknowledged.
Yeah, and I think I'll add that that's sort of a big reason for doing the projects we're doing, where we're screening for things, because if we can get tick-borne disease on the forefront of physicians' minds when people are coming in, a lot of physicians think about ticks, others don't. And so, because so many of these symptoms overlap with all sorts of other things, and the thing is, all these bacterial pathogens are easily treatable early on, right? So to me, it doesn't really matter whether you've been infected with Lyme or spotted fever or Ehrlichia. Like, I mean, it may sound bad, I don't care. I just want I want the doctors to treat people right up front, to be thinking about tick-borne diseases.
I might raise my hand in a minute.
And so that's the point. If we can raise enough awareness and show enough data that these things are they're very prevalent, they're here, it's a true problem in the state, then doctors can treat them early on, and we don't see these long-term chronic problems. So that's sort of where I stand on it.
Don't touch the screen in your
Trying to educate everyone and get enough data to move things forward.
Gentleman in the baseball cap, you had your hand up.
Is doxycycline still the treatment
Yeah, the question was, is doxycycline the normal treatment? And yeah, absolutely. It's super common, easy to use. When I went to the doctor with symptoms of tick-borne disease, that's the first thing he did was give me doxycycline and said, if I don't feel better tomorrow, come back. It can work quickly too, to at least take those initial severe symptoms down. So it's easy to treat with that.
Gentleman at the bar, yes.
So, follow on, tick panels, blood tests detect the various tick-borne diseases are sometimes problematic to get back in a timely fashion. Where are we with the TBD serum chip, which is only like 7 panels?
The question, it was about a newer generation of serological testing. I don't know where that's actually at in. I don't know if it's, I know for a fact it's not approved for, Lyme disease, Borrelia burgdorferi infection detection. I'm sorry, I can't comment.
So anyway, so where are the ticks? Where do they hang out? Find out in a while, do I worry about the grass or the leaves in the trees? Or as I've learned in the past, watch out for knee-high grass. Where are they? What are you worried about? Everything, or some areas are worse than others?
But where are the ticks is basically the question.
Yeah, where are they?
It kind of depends on what tick you're talking about, but if you're talking about the Gulf Coast tick, you're going to be more of a grassland situation. The Lone Star tick, you're going to see it more in a wooded situation, and areas with leaf litter. And ticks quits, and what that means is they crawl up on vegetation. That's where you get them on the grass, and basically hang on by their back legs and put their front legs out, wait for a host. Try to grab a host. But they're attracted to that CO2 and other fluids, cues.
So they're up in the trees?
No, they don't fall from trees. But they do crawl up the grass.
Yes, ma'am.
Do ticks have any beneficial use to society?
Why do ticks get to be alive?
Yeah.
The fall of
What's the value of a tick?
You know.
It only took 40 minutes to get that question. I think we hear that question about mosquitoes as well, and anything else. And, yeah, and they obviously, there's major ecosystem roles that these are playing. Pathogens are playing roles in, ecosystem services and maintaining populations. I mean, if we got rid of ticks completely, if we could snap our fingers and they were gone, then there'd be a cascade of effects, just like mosquitoes.
But we don't really know what they would be.
Lots of things eat ticks.
Oh, yeah.
You said that a tick can get as large as a ping pong ball. So how would that kind of tick find its host?
How does the ping pong ball tick find its host? Well, it finds its host when it's not a ping pong ball. So it's much, much smaller. They can, ticks when the female fills up with blood, her body can expand hundreds of times, 1,000 times its original size. And so she's not that big when she's finding, those in particular are on tortoises, so they're out, in tortoise burrows and things like that, in the desert, dry areas. But yeah, so they're not that big when they're looking for their host. But if you let it sit on there and feed for 5 days, they can massively fill up.
And so then what happens? So they have this giant blood meal and they're kind of rolling around, not being able to touch their feet on the ground. Do they process that and they feed again, or is that
No, all that blood is going to produce eggs. So the female needs to take that massive meal to produce the eggs, and I think those ticks can possibly lay 1,000 eggs or more, 3,000 eggs. So the American dog tick can lay a lot of eggs. I've had people send me live ones in a container, and I watched it just fill this container with eggs over a period of a couple days. And so they're basically taking all that blood and turning it into eggs, and then that's the end of their life.
Do the ticks feed the deer, or are the deer immune to the
That's actually a question I was trying to. I think there's a little bit of.
Can you repeat the question?
So
Yes,
the question
please.
is, do the deer suffer from the ticks or the pathogen, or both? What's your?
Well, the ticks inject these pathogens, they feed on the blood of the deer. Are they infected or are the deer immune?
So the question is, how do the deer respond when they're infected with these pathogens? I have seen some reports that suggest that the deer really don't suffer at all from a Lyme disease or really an infection. You would think that if they actually develop a pretty good system to persist in these bacteria, or these bacteria develop a system to persist in these hosts because they don't want to kill them. Sometimes they will actually serve as a reservoir to establish a population of the next generation of ticks that need to be infected by that pathogen. So, there's, in the Northeast, you have the white-footed mouse is the primary reservoir for Burleyberg dorfri. Those mice do not suffer at all from infection and will remain infected for their entire life and serve as the reservoir on which the larvae feed and reestablish the infection in that tick population. So it's actually a pretty good system.
Do the male ticks need a blood meal as well?
Do the male ticks need a blood meal? The male ticks will take a blood meal. They don't fully engorge, but generally where most ticks are going to mate is on the host during feeding. So a lot of times you'll find them attached in pairs, paired up on the host. It's not uncommon to see that with Lone Star ticks.
It just keeps getting grosser and grosser.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
My question is about respectively, the research that you're doing, and I was wondering if you could tell us, of course we know go get ticks, put them in the vials, send them back. But is there something specifically that the community can do to help more? I know last year you probably experienced a lot of trial and error, and you're seeing maybe more needs in a certain county or in a certain area or whatever. I'm the Saline County person, so you probably a really good portion from my yard. So I just wanted to know that, and I just with John, I wanted to know with the ticks that we're sending to you guys, what are you going to be able to do with those in the future, since things were kind of halted for a bit?
So to paraphrase the question, it's, I had a tick survey project going on, and Lori's asking me what they can do to kind of improve, help kind of the survey studies and the process of where my studies are at. Honestly, my study kind of happened happenstance. I didn't have money, I didn't have people. Word of mouth got out, and then within 3 months I had 5,000 ticks in my freezer. So I was unfortunately not adequately prepared to do the follow-up on the study. Lori's actually, she provided me with the first Ixodes tick that I'd ever seen in Arkansas. I lived here for 7 years and had never seen an Ixodes tick. So Ixodes ticks are the ones that are the recognized vector for Borrelia burgdorferi. She was one that provided me with those first samples. So for me, I just need money and people, unfortunately. I think the word is getting out that tick-borne diseases are important in Arkansas. The need to, one, identify where there's hot spots around the state. What's the prevalence of the pathogens? I think that is slowly gaining traction. I don't know what it's going to take to really get it to take off, though.
Will you be able to use the ticks that you have? Are they usable future? Are they preserved? Or?
Yes. Okay, so cool. I have ticks sitting right now in my -80 that are preserved. I actually just got, Nate Nieto. I have a collaborator friend over at Northern Arizona University. He's funded by the Bay Area Lyme Foundation to collect ticks from all over the United States and screen them for pathogens. So in the event that I'm not even able to proceed forward with them, Nate and I are going to enter a collaboration, and he's actually going to proceed forward with screening a lot of the ticks that we have available. And then, Ashley as well.
Yeah, so our project, the ways to help is send us more ticks. If you look on our map of where all our ticks are coming from, we still have some big holes in the map where we know there are lots of ticks, but we haven't received anything from the area. And so, we're looking for that. Thinking and looking for ticks all year round is also helpful. So Ixodes, for example, the adults are most active in the late fall and even winter. And so a lot of people are done thinking about ticks when those adults are most active. And so I think that's one of the reasons we don't see a lot of Ixodes. We've gotten 300 or 400 Ixodes sent into us, but that's still a drop in the bucket compared to the 8,000 or whatever we've got. But I think a lot of people aren't thinking about ticks late in the year like that, so sort of being aware and on the lookout. And I think the biggest thing we could do, money is always an issue for every project you're doing. And I harass the Department of Health about things, and so they try, and there's ways. So the goal right now is to get enough data to show how common these pathogens are in the state and how it's a public health burden, and then maybe we can use that data from a year or two's worth of work to persuade other foundations or agencies to put in some funding to get us so we can continue this. Because really what you need for these studies is you want to be able to look at it long term. If we can have 3 to 6, 8 years worth of data, we can see how things are moving around the state, we can see if new things are coming in, we can see how the populations are changing, identify sort of high-risk areas potentially, and then take measures in those areas where people are at the highest risk to implement tick management strategies or something to sort of help lessen the prevalence of disease in the state. So.
Yes, ma'am, in the bar.
Can you guys talk about prevalence of ticks in Arkansas in terms of, we always think of this season as being when it's almost there, but the climate's been changing. Can you talk about how that's perhaps expanded, and are there any guidelines about when we should be looking for ticks, other than kind of like our April to October?
Lone Star ticks, you'll
Can you repeat the question?
When you find the various tick species throughout the season, basically, I think is what you're asking. Lone Star ticks, generally say April through into May for the adults. Then during part of that time period, you also have nymphal ticks. So you're going to have them pretty much throughout the summer, and then once summer arrives, late summer arrives, you're going to have the larval Lone Star ticks. Now, if you look at the Exodes scapularis, you can see the larval ticks and the nymphal ticks in the spring and summer. As Ashley talked about, the adults you're going to find in the late fall and winter. There's a tick that we see some just on livestock pretty routinely, the winter tick. I think there was a couple picked up in the study. That's an interesting tick. It spends its entire life, all stages, on that one post. And the adult is found in the summertime, wintertime on the host. So it kind of depends on your ticks.
And you had asked about sort of changing climates, and that's always a concern as things warm up a little bit. And that allows arthropods particularly, which are very dependent upon temperatures for their life cycles, to sort of expand their ranges naturally, and it may, just 1 degree could make a difference between whether an arthropod, vector of something can successfully live in there or not. And I think the Gulf Coast tick is one that was always thought of as a southern tick, and it seems to be moving. And our study, we've had them sent in from all over the state. It's clearly moving north, and whether that's a response to changing temperatures or not, I guess to be said. But there's lots of evidence for many insects and ticks and things moving as things are warming up.
Yes, ma'am, in the baseball cap.
Hi, I have two questions that are very related. One is there any kind of immunization that once you get the Lyme disease or any of these other diseases? And the other question is, what's the best way to keep ticks off you? Maybe leave tick collars on your ankle? I don't know.
Not unless you're a marine.
I'll answer the first question about the vaccination. I'll let these guys answer the tick side. No, there's no vaccines for any of the common vector-borne bacterial pathogens. The last one was the Lyme-Rex vaccine back in the late 90s. Was pulled off the market in 4 years or so.